I made my way to the stall and asked the man if I could see the horses. He told me that he had just sold the last 2, but he had other mechanical dancing animals, a selection of dogs, for example. No, it was the horses I wanted. Yes, he said, but what people tend to like is how you lift up the tail of the animal to start the dance and push it down to stop. The tail is more interesting than a boring switch, he said. It's even like magic. And with this tail, I could start or end the magic any time I liked. What did it matter if it was a dog and not a horse? My piano teacher, Arthur Goldstein, had told me the piano was not the instrument. I was the instrument. He talked of my perfect pitch, my desire and ability to learn at the age of 6, how all that he had taught me did not dissolve the next day. Apparently, I was a miracle. A miracle. A miracle. I had once heard him say to a journalist, "No, Elsa M. Anderson is not in a trance when she plays. She is in flight." The man asked if I wanted him to slip a super heavy-duty zinc AAA battery into one of the dogs. He pointed to a creature that looked more like a fox, with an abundance of porcelain fur and a tail that curled over its back. Yes, he said, the magic would start again, but this time with a curved tail. The dogs were smaller than the horses and could stand in the palm of my hand. It seemed the horses were not the instrument. It was the longing for magic and flight that was the instrument. "You are a beautiful lady. What do you do in life?" I told him I was a pianist. "Ah, so she was right," he said. "Who was right?" "The lady who bought the horses. She told me you are famous." When I tightened the belt of my raincoat so it cut into my waist, he made an exploding sound like a bomb. "You must drive your sweetheart mad," he said. I reached into my pocket and took out the apple I had bought that morning from a grocery store. It was cool and taut, like another skin. I held it against my burning cheek, and then I bit into it. "Look at this dog here," said the man who had sold her the horses. "It's a Spitz, the oldest breed in Central Europe. She descends from the Stone Age." I looked at the porcelain white fur of the Stone Age Spitz and shook my head. "Sorry, lady," he laughed. "The last 2 horses have found a home. My customer saw you looking at her." He lowered his voice and gestured to me to come closer. "She told me, that woman wants the horses. But I want the horses, and I got here first." I felt she had stolen something from me, something that I would miss in my life. I walked away from the stall of dancing animals, bereft, towards a wagon piled with pistachio nuts. Lying on the ground next to the wagon was the black felt trilby hat the woman had been wearing. She had tucked a small sprig of a delicate pale pink flower into its grey ribbon. I had seen these same flowers on the slopes of the hills of the Acropolis on a walk earlier that morning. Perhaps they would have been growing there when real horses pulled carriages loaded with marble to build the Parthenon. I picked the hat up and looked for her and the old man, but couldn't see them anywhere. Her male companion was about the same age as my teacher, Arthur Goldstein. At that moment, I decided to keep the trilby hat. The horses were hers and not mine. It seemed like a fair exchange. I put it on right there in the market, tipping it forwards over my eyes as she had done. Another thing, when she walked away with the horses, she had turned around briefly to look at a cat sleeping on a low wall near to where I was standing. I had taken to making lists every day. Pianos owned. Bösendorfer Grand. Steinway. I had stopped there and did not mention the more humble childhood piano. After a while, I checked my ferry ticket to the island of Poros and saw I had 2 hours to kill before I had to make my way to the port of Piraeus. Chapter 2. Max and Bella were sipping small cups of sweet Greek coffee on the rooftop of Café Abyssinia, overlooking the Acropolis.